Hi, I'm Elizabeth Thompson. I'm one of the sculpture conservators at QAGOMA, and I was lucky enough to work on the Patricia Piccinini exhibition. When the works first arrived for the Patricia Piccinini exhibition, the first thing as conservators that we need to do is condition report the works to ensure that they haven't been damaged during transit and that they're ready to go on display. When we unpack the works, we make sure that there's a ready prepared surface with supports or pillows, whatever the work needs, and that we're handling it as carefully as possible. And quite often, particularly for Patricia's larger works, this couldn't be done alone and we needed 2 or more people. Once we have the work in a safe position and out and all exposed, we thoroughly examine it for any signs of damage. So we're looking for breaks or cracks or hair loss or stains. We check the structural integrity of the work, and all of this has to be documented, and one of us is normally describing all of these attributes and the other is scribing it straight into the computer. It's really important to document the condition, and we often do this through photography as well, and we refer back to these photographs during the exhibition to ensure that no changes have occurred. Once the works are fully documented, we repack them into their crates to take them down to the floor into the gallery spaces for installation. The installation process is fantastic. It's really exciting. We work heavily with the registration department, the installation team, and in this case with Patricia's studio manager, Peter Hennessy. Some of the works are incredibly intricate to assemble, while others you take out of the crate and you place on the plinth and it's done. One of the intricate works was the Welcome Guest, which had so many elements and took time to assemble. The first thing to put together was the bed, and this wasn't like putting an IKEA bed together. For one thing, we all had to wear gloves. We put down polyethylene foam so to ensure that there weren't any abrasions or scratches to the surface. Once the bed was assembled, the little girl and the creature actually bolted through the mattress and the sheets. So we had to ensure that all the holes were lined up through the sheets and mattress, and a lot of the time it was putting bolts in place unseen. So it was wonderful having Peter there because he had put it together several times before, so he was able to guide the process so it went smoothly. When you're working on such an intricate assembly, when there are so many different elements, this is a critical time when damage can occur. So as a conservator, that is our role, to make sure that we're on the lookout for any potential damage that might occur to the work. Some of the works that are on display in the Patricia Piccinini exhibition are actually from the GOMA collection itself. And one of these works, the Stags, while it doesn't have a fiddly mounting system, it is very cumbersome. So we've developed an installation manual to help the installation team to show them what points are safe to hold, what steps to take. For future displays of the work, it's really important to have this installation manual so that teams who haven't worked on the work before still have that step-by-step guide. Many of the materials used by Patricia Piccinini in her works are quite delicate in nature, and because of this we had to do a few minor treatments when the works arrived at the gallery. These included just basic surface cleaning, steaming, and realignment and placement of feathers, for example. We spent a lot of time zhooshing feathers, and we were lucky enough to work with the taxidermist who had done the owl for Unfurled and the eagle for Heartwood, and he gave us some wonderful tips on how to make the feathers look as natural as possible. We feel that it's quite important to do these steps of treatment, as it makes sure that the works look cared for and that they're pristine in readiness for display. Quite often it's the large works that we have to do more serious treatments or even sometimes alterations. Utopia, for example, with its mass, caused us a few problems. This is the first time it's ever been installed. Some of the connection points actually tore. Some of the repairs and alterations we had to do to Newtopia had to be done with a small home-sized sewing machine, which looked quite humorous, when compared to the mass of the work. So our conservation technician was able to get up in a cherry picker and actually hand sew the repairs to strengthen them and ensure that this didn't happen again. Once the works are installed, it's our job as conservators to ensure that they remain safe and undamaged. An example of this is in the field. Once the 4 works were installed, there was some unavoidable dirty work that had to be carried out. So to make sure that no particulate matter landed on the surfaces of the work, we covered them in Tyvek. And Peter Hennessy was quite concerned that we were going to squash the hair on the works, and he recommended that we place pins all over the work to balance the Tyvek on so that we didn't squash the work and put it out of place. We use Tyvek because it's an inert, smooth-surfaced fabric that's not going to interfere the work and doesn't create any static with the hair. And it felt quite wrong putting pins into the little babies of kindred, but we were quite relieved that when we took the pins out, the silicone is actually self-healing and all the holes disappear. We also had to cover some of the works in the diorama room. This was an amazing room to put together because it was almost like a set design. To protect the works, we had to make sure that they were out of reach of the public. The natural materials that are used in the landscape had to be first treated because we have to ensure that there aren't any insects coming into the gallery. So all of these materials were treated by freezing them before they could be incorporated into the work. One of the most challenging works to work on, but stimulating and engaging as well, was heartwood. It was quite a challenge to install it because of its size. The stillage that it came on didn't fit up the ramp towards the Erie, so we actually had to decant it onto 3 dollies and angle it and use a whole team of us to ensure that it wasn't damaged on its journey up to the Erie. It incorporates, I think, nearly all of the materials that Patricia works in. So it has leather upholstery, it has the silicone, it has the hair, has fiberglass, has found elements, has a taxidermied eagle. Once it was in position, the wings of the eagle had to be inserted into the body of the eagle. That's actually bolted onto the shoulder. And to do this was quite fiddly because you were on top of a ladder, on top of a plinth in quite low light levels. Heartwood is a wonderful example of an intricate work with so many elements. It's incredibly rewarding as a conservator to work on such intricate sculptures for Patricia Piccinini's exhibition, Curious Affection.